These are the days of our life.
COVID change up everything. In she jaws, we feel this thing. It's like silence of the lambs is the new normal. Expendables on the run. We under siege, tears of the sun. Some deceased, some released, and some horror. We acting a movie. Let the credits roll. All who don't act properly, they'll go take your soul. Everybody have a class, man in the iron mask. Black box or love story. You control your cinematography. The have and the have-nots in the same pot. Even Bruce Almighty, this Terminator, took a toll on that Trinity. Don't think they'll have way.
Again, body stiff, gun still in the ways. My heart start grieve me when I see my youths them lose their way, lose their true identity. So I've got a special request to all of the bad boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Special request to all of the rude boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. You could put your life in misery if you start the ranking thing. Oh yeah, don't bother with the gun thing. You know you could flush them out of your mind. Listen to me. Special request to all of the bad boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Special request to all of the rude boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Don't let them get in your way. Don't let them take your royalty. My black brothers, life is what you make it. So you could conquer poverty. You could make a better way. Special request to all of the bad boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Special request to all of the rude boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Special request to all of the bad boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Special request to all of the rude boys. Put it down. Special request. Oh yeah, I want you cool it down. Special request. 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 Special request.
Ion Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Ion Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Good morning, good Sunday morning to you. Welcome to Dependency, and thank you for those of you joining us on I-95.5 FM, and of course, those of you joining us online on Facebook and YouTube. Good morning, Mr. Gap.
Good morning, Natasha. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning, Storm and Tom. And
Good morning.
Gary Barrington will be here with us in a few minutes. Good morning to you and welcome once again to another educational journey here on Dependency. And for those of you who missed last Sunday, we welcome you this Sunday. We have lots to share with you this morning as we continue with the young man up there at the maximum security prison, and we'll be joined live by folks at the Rise Maximum Radio. Let's see if they're hearing us, if they're on. Good morning, Steele and Agard, as usual. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Gart. Good morning, Miss Sinclair.
Morning.
Good morning, folks, and morning to you as well, John. And thank you all very much once again for lending us your Sunday to educate Trinidad and Tobago. How are things at RMR?
It's a pleasure at the moment. Just waiting to, as we say, let the journey continue the journey, part 2.
Did you get any feedback from last week's show? I know we did tremendous in terms of the comments and the feedback and the praise for what John contributed last week. What has been the feedback on your end?
Yes, now good morning to you, Mr. Gard Sinclair, and of course, Miss Natasha Nunez.
Morning, Miss Agard.
Good morning. I have to admit, I have been looking forward for this morning. But before I go further, let me acknowledge our Commissioner of Prisons, Mr. Dev Ramuta, and I must say special good morning to the Acting Commissioner of Prisons, Public Relations, Information and Communications, my boss, Mr. David Prince, who never stops working. I know that he's locked on strong. Last week till now, we heard of John Smith, who took us on his journey, from childhood and his early teens to the hardships he faced and, the poor life choices and consequences of those actions. Now, we got a lot of feedback from the ladies at Women's Prison. They said that John Smith's story, it was honest, touching, and mind-opening. Somebody also said that John Smith has brought the concept of real to the forefront. Everyone was so touched with his story, and they can't wait for this morning for the journey part 2. So in studio, alongside us here is John Smith. I think he's a bit nervous. I'm not too sure. Good morning to you, John Smith.
Morning.
Morning, John, and thank you, my brother, Ms. Agard. Thank you very much for that beautiful opening. We too would like to concur with the sentiment shared on your end, and to you from folks who paid attention. The Civilian Conservation Corps trainees too were really appreciative of John's contribution. Some of them will be joining us this morning again, and this time to hear John bring it home and give a message to them, so that of course the object of the exercise is to prevent them from ending up where he did. So what we will do as well, folks, we will rerun some of the clips, short clips, few seconds of what John said last Sunday, so that for those of you who missed it, at least you get a clear idea of what was said, and we're looking at cause and effect. And this is what the journey is going to start with. That's how we're going to start this morning. And before we wrap up, we will speak with sorry about that, folks.
Drink some water.
Yeah, body water. No, I'm all right. Just the spraying in here and what it after a while down. So, okay, my apologies. So, before you wrap up, we will be speaking with Acting Assistant Commissioner of Prisons, Public Relations, Information and Communications, Mr. David Prince. Well, last week we heard from Commissioner himself, Mr. Ramuta, and who made a very great contribution to the program as well. And we say good morning to you, Commissioner, and once again, thank you and your executive for allowing us to have this connection
with the university, which is the University of the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service, because it is a university and we can learn a lot from them. So, and then, as I would like to send a brief message to the person who made some of those comments this week, just by giving you a sneak peek of what was described, or they were described as miscreants from the East-West Corridor. Well, those miscreants were in action on Friday via the Civilian Conservation Corps. And ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I am so hopeful and again fearful at the same time. But when I saw those young people in action there, and I'm saying, but these are the same people that people tend to bring down, and you will see for yourself. We just give you a brief sneak peek of the drill competition that they had this week at Vemcot. And once again, I have to say, Natasha, we are not considered journalists, right? By the
Not
journalists.
in the strictest sense of the
Yes.
word, no.
We do developmental journalism.
Yes.
But we are not respected as journalists.
No.
But for 20 years now, we have been doing our independency, and we know what a good story is. We know what a good story that can be told to inspire others. We know what that is. So anytime we call on the media, is not to disrespect the media. But I don't know what the media have with the Civilian Conservation Corps or have against them. Because last year I had to speak on the absence of the coverage of the CCC trainees from the Northwest region, which is considered the bullpen. That's the socially marginalized.
High-risk area.
High-risk area. They lend their Saturday morning to the counter-trafficking unit and the Ministry of National Security to distribute information on human trafficking on the Brian Lara Promenade. Not one piece of public publicity for our children, the same children who are described as miscreants. And they give up their time. The Minister of National Security was there, the program director, not one bit of coverage on that. And I guarantee you, if there was a fight or gunplay, everybody would have covered it then.
Correct.
So why aren't we showing the positives? I call on you today as a humble servant. Friday morning was the same thing at Vemcot. You know, I saw the sadness and the pain in the public relations officer's eyes when she said, you know, we invited the media and they didn't come. If you see these children perform on that 34 degrees hot sun out there on Friday, being cheered on by staff and trainees of the Civilian Conservation Corps. Folks, I saw a display of youngsters who not in the military, but their instructors and staff members were able to whip them into shape with one Friday to spare for 3 months, or one day of the week for 3 months. And if you see these children march like trained soldiers, if you see the drill, I was touched, and we will just give you a sneak peek of that before we leave this morning.
I think it's Garth, in terms of what the media does and does not cover, I think it's a symptom of the tone and the narrative, quote unquote, right? Because if you cover a positive activity like that, it doesn't generate the kind of conversation, feedback, ire in some instances that a statement from a pundit would, a racist statement from a pundit would, and that is on the front page, right? So it's a matter of, I guess, priority. If your priority is to create tension and, build on the tension that's already in the society with regard to issues of crime and criminality, then your focus cannot be to highlight the marginalized group, which is young African children, boys and girls.
And Indians too. We have Indians in the mix too. But you're right. And what I'm saying too, Natasha, it's sad though that it has to be bad news. One newspaper carried a headline in bold, Indians under attack. And I seen, but what?
According to who?
Again?
Yeah.
You want another country to now implement visa restrictions on us?
Yep.
Why are we going down this road? And you know, but what we should,
Sensationalism at its finest.
if it's, I mean, media, all I'm asking you all humbly, please, I'm not disrespecting anyone, but when the children, when the miscreants do good, put it on the news too, please, please. I'm begging you all, because it will inspire other youngsters to go that way. All right? That's all we asking. We don't control any media house. We have no friends in any media house. We just doing our part here, and all we asking you is to do yours. So when the children do good, show up in your numbers, because if you, as I said, if any gunplay had taken place on Vemcott compound, every media house, including the Catholic News, would have shown up. So why? Come on, man. Come on, let's do better now, please.
And I mean, we acknowledge the challenges that many media houses face. We acknowledge that they are under-resourced, etc., because we have this problem in sport as well. In the fact that the sport department is not as resourced as the news department. But
stop making
for all intents and purposes, we are, as I'm repeating Garth's call, that we urge journalists out there to look beyond the sensation, and try to instead transform the narrative that is being created about African people in this country, especially young African boys. Let's try and transform that, because otherwise, I mean, that will instigate some level of change, I think, if they are portrayed in a positive light as well, in our country.
Yeah, and
via the
motivate
media.
them too. But you know how nice it is to sit in your living room and see your children in action, or you go home and say, mommy, the TV will be in the news tonight, and everybody sit and watch that and see what the CCC is doing. This is highlighting positive and highlighting a social program that is doing tremendous work.
Correct.
And I am telling you all, they're doing tremendous work. Please, give the CCC a blind and let's start showing what they're doing. The next time they invite you all, come out and show other young people that they could be positive too. And they could do things positive.
Yep.
Instead of being labeled as miscreants. They're not.
Correct.
All right? So we just had to get that off. And now let's get down to business here this morning. John is waiting. Not being a veteran to radio, I know he probably is nervous. John, drink some water. I'll give John 2 mouthfuls of water to drink, please. And Steele and Agard, you all ready?
Yes, sir, we waited.
All right.
All right.
So, without food, pardon? Sorry, go ahead.
No, he's ready now. He
All
drank
right,
some
great.
water. Good to go.
Lovely. All right. So, short man, let's go to a break. Folks, let's take a break. Those of you who are just joining us, you're listening to Dependency. We're going to do part 2 of John's contribution to this nation. And we will, when we return, we will just touch on some clips from him from last Sunday, if you missed it, and then we hook up with him, and it will jog everyone's memory and get your children by the radio. We don't have to say anymore. Stay right there. We'll be back. Folks, we don't know what's we're waiting on Shortman to put some audio on the ads. Hang on. In the meantime, those of you just joining us, you can join us also on Dependency on Facebook or YouTube channel. And we will... Yes, you can join us on Facebook and YouTube channel to follow us along. And remember, while you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel so that you will continue to be informed of great programming as we go along.
Seems we're having some technical issues on our end in terms of the audio for the ads that we want to share, the promos. And we have, you may notice, or you may be familiar with one that just went across the screen is the animated PSA that we did against drug
Can be a
trafficking.
victim.
So,
There is forced
here
labor,
we are.
slavery, a terrible time in our history. The kidnapping, buying and selling of people for profit, the exploitation of another human being. It still exists today. It has a new name: human trafficking. Anyone can be a victim. There is forced labor, sexual exploitation, and domestic servitude. Human trafficking is a worldwide problem and an emerging concern for us here in Trinidad and Tobago. If you know of or suspect human trafficking activity, call the counter-trafficking hotline at 800-4CTU or 800-4288. Human trafficking is a crime. Identify it, report it, stop it. A message from the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Dobson here from HMP London. Can I speak to Mr. James, please?
This is Mr. James speaking.
Thank you. Can you hold the line? I have a call coming through to you, sir.
Sure.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, yes, Brian?
Daddy, I'm just calling to tell you that locked up in the UK for drug trafficking.
Oh, yeah? You lock up? And you tell me I was going to Tobago? And I tell you about them boy I was liming with? Well, alright. Don't drop the soap. Carry out.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday from 6:15 to 8 p.m. on I 95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Eye on Dependency, and we are hooking up live with John, who is out at the Maximum Security Prison in Rise Maximum Radio Studio, to be exact. But before we do connect with him to hear part 2 of his story, we have some clips to play with Garth.
Yes, so let's go quickly to it. We go to B, short man. So here is John explaining growing up, and we'll follow the journey from there. So let's go to that.
I was born down Digo Martin. From a young age, I left there and I went to Maloney to live. My mother and father was separated, so I guess that is what really made the move. I went to Maloney to live with my mother. My father was living in Port of Spain at the time. So when they get separated, she moved to Maloney and well, I went with her. I have an older brother. I and him went up Maloney to live with her. He has a different father, but 2 of us was with our mother.
And that relationship growing up home, what was it like with your mom and dad? You didn't remember anything because you said you moved when you were very young.
I can't remember my mother and father being together. That's how young they moved now.
Playing with that echo, so that's what they tried to.
Right, so that's the first clip. You hear, so let's go to now hear John speak about school. Let's go to that.
I went to school in Port of Spain, Richmond Street Boys. After that, I passed for a junior sec. I reached senior sec, but I never finished school. I got expelled in Form 5 for fighting with a teacher. So I never really got to do my exams or anything like that. So after all the years of schooling, I left with nothing.
Good. So now we will just go straight from one clip to the next. So to get this done as fast as possible. Those of you just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and you're hearing part 2 of John Smith update at Rise Maximum Radio at the Maximum Security Prison. Let's go.
Back in my school days, it was a gang, it's just they did not name for it them time. It was still a gang, it was a group of fellas doing the wrong thing. So more or less, it was a gang. It just didn't name no 6 or no 7 or no Rasta or no Muslim thing, but it was a gang more or less. School back then was just like school now, it's still at the same fights, drugs, the schools, everything is just, it did not have cell phones and things to record it. So it might not been in the public eyes as much, but it was kind of always a problem.
What caused the fights?
Well, a whole lot of different things. Egos would have caused fight. You and your friends from a certain district, other men from another district. One man in see eye to eye. You might hear you and this man fall out. You don't even really know what to fall out for, but that is your friend. So it's kind of the rule in, growing up. Your friend in a bacchanal, you have to be in the bacchanal too. He doesn't really study what the bacchanal, whether he right or he wrong. And you involve yourself in it. Next thing you're in a big fight in the school, you're in trouble. And when you really sit down, you really don't even know what you're in trouble for.
What was your mother saying? Was she involved with your school at all, talking to teachers?
My mother is a woman, was real strict. Teach me all the right morals, to say thanks, to say good morning, good evening. She didn't grow me up to be in this life. She really tried. I take she credit for that. It's just I had more in mind. And well, I more feel it was like it's really self-value too now. But my mother used to fly out plenty. So when my mother fly out now, she used to send me to stay by my father. And he's a man living in Port Spain, but my father used to smoke drugs. So taking care of the place and thing wasn't really his main focus, So I used to live in a kind of breakdown home. So I used to be like shame when my friends and them come. I used to want them to know where I live in. Because my place bushy. Sometimes it had no current, And my father smoking, he on drugs. That kind of really dropped my value as a person. From day now I started doing the wrong things because the people who I lining with is men who don't really care how my house looking, because them house looking the same way and we feeling the same way.
John, what about drug use now? Seeing that you had no father to check on you to see if you had drugs in your bag or if you studying your...
I didn't even used to go to school with a bag when I buy my father. Remember, he didn't really paying mind to me, he just know he sending me to school. So I put one book in my pocket and I go into school.
And teachers never asked you anything? Anybody ever intervened?
They used to call for my parents. They would call for my mother to talk. She will come, they will call back for my parents. But it's only she alone used to come when she come from America, because he don't have time for that. Reach a point where they wanted to see my both parents at the same time. And that and all never happen.
Because he never available and your mom not around.
Yeah. And when she go around, only she coming, not he coming.
How much drugs have you witnessed in your time in school?
I witnessed plenty drugs home by me by my father. That was like the spot. He and all his friends used to come and smoke. So like I would see all kind of different symptoms. Men smoking, men crawling under bed, men smoking, taking off all the clothes, run out in the road. All kind of different things I see.
You talking about your schoolmates, right?
That is my father and my schoolmates was just really marijuana. I growing up, men didn't really used to smoke like hard drugs. It was just a little marijuana, a little cigarette, a little alcohol. That was about it.
And the alcohol of choice most time was punching?
No, them days it wasn't really punching. It was like it had a strong drink named like gin juice and thing. It wasn't really punching them days.
And that would be consumed in school as well as out of school?
In school, out of school. Plus sometimes we mother might send we to school. We go to school, we go river for the day. I had a bus pass, so if they give me money to travel, I take in and buy things to smoke. I go travel home with the bus.
Getting kicked out of school. What happened?
Remember, my mother used to fly out plenty. When she leave me and my father, school start back, I really had textbooks and things. So, a day my school teacher tell me, well, why ain't doing no homework and things? So I used to use the excuse that I don't have no textbook, so I can't do no homework. So she decided, out of good thoughts and whatever, she gave me some textbooks and tell me, well, hold on to these textbooks, do what you have to do your schoolwork, and when you finish, she wanted back. But me now, I wasn't really interested in schoolwork. So when she gave me the books, as I walk out school that day, I throw away the books one time. And then, well, at the next time now, she asked for the books and I didn't have it. And we end up in a dispute and I will come and get expelled from school.
You didn't have school books because
Well, my mother used to buy school books, but when she in America, my father seen about my schooling and thing. Remember, he smoking drugs, so he not time to buy school books and them thing.
your father still alive?
No, he died from a overdose of drugs.
An overdose.
Yeah.
Apart from cocaine, did you see him do anything else?
Nah, just cocaine, marijuana, alcohol.
And you were witness to all of this. How did it make you feel?
When I first used to see it, I didn't really mind because I couldn't really understand it. Remember, I was young. As I started to get older now, and well, due to how we know the upkeeping of the house and certain things, and then people tell me, oh, your father is a drug user and you will be just so too. And that way it really started to get to me that it was a problem. But in the early days, that was just like that my father do anything that wasn't, I never really used to pay mind to it like that until I actually get older and people started really break it down to me, your father on drugs and all, they can't paint all the house for Christmas and well, when people start telling me that now, well, that is where now your self-esteem is really start to get break. You start to see yourself as less. Then well, growing up, nobody really telling you they love you and thing. I mean, they might have love you, but they ain't really telling you. And we never went no guess in school. We can't really guess that.
So, John, you got kicked out of school. What did you do then? No passes, right?
Yeah, no passes. No.
So,
Can't read. I learned to read in jail.
So how are you surviving?
How were you? You got kicked out of school.
Well, we used to rob and do all kind of thing. That way it's called scraping. You didn't really have a good plan to say, well, we were running KFC. So we would just scrape, we would just walk the streets and catch a victim. A man might be on his cell phone, he might have a 200 in his pocket. The risk low, and he goes to survive today, tomorrow we go handle it again. And it was kind of that day today. You know?
And the money that you all got, what did you do with the money?
Eat something, smoke drugs, till tomorrow.
And repeat the next day.
Yeah. Big man thing. You might have buy a clothes because something coming up if the money was enough, but more or less ain't him really buying clothes, it's just day to day. Buy some small to eat, and I'm really some too good just to carry it through the next day. You know? And it's just that drug, smoke, drink on the block. I drink something, man. And my life just going down the drain. Them youths and them ain't taking it serious because it come like same thing was going on with me as a youth. Yes, have to be real. You can't talk about no bees and no butterfly because with bees and butterfly, you would need to explain the consequences in life. You need to explain that so they'll get a better picture and love too. You understand? You have to build people value and let them know that value in life because without that, you ain't go care.
Did you have friends leaving school with you in the same position?
Yeah, one or two, but due to my situation now, like when my mother around, she'll be like, you're following friends, but it really was friends following me. I was myself, I was my own bad company due to the freedom I was getting from down by my father. You know, as kind of my own problem. So it wasn't really like men wasn't really influencing me to do wrong. Most of the time is I was influencing men wrong my age to do wrong.
Right.
But what is going on? You just be a leader and a follower at the same time. But when I in school, I is them leader, you know, because I know more than them. I know how to rap weed, I could clean weed. I know about this, I know about that. What them might know. But when I home on the block now, it has somebody I looking up to. So sometimes you might be telling your children now, you're following bad company. And you might think it's from in the school, you're learning that in school, when no, it's them might be the bad company because I was the bad company.
Right.
Understand? Due to how what was going home for me.
What about the children in the school, the young people in the school who were doing well, who were excelling? Did you have any kind of relationship or interaction with them? Was there any positive peer pressure in that sense?
Yeah, yes, I all kind of friends in school. You have friends who come in first in test, you have friends who come in last in test. You don't really discriminate when you're young.
Right.
Most get discrimination when you're young, just come off your sneakers. You have a bootleg or you have a name brand. Or one or two children who are living in your place old. But other than that, everybody's get along good. You could be the brightest boy in school as the dunces, and we still sit down as friends and eat lunch when the day comes. So, you know, I had friends home where I grew up. Used to be like, you have to change horse again, older, just now is big jail, you think you end up in jail.
Your father using cocaine, so he don't have time to give you money to go to school. When you get up, how would you go to school? Would you go to school hungry? How did you get money to eat?
Well, that is no way, you know. You start to become a little bully in school now. because what again wasn't sufficient. So I had to find ways and means of handling my own scene. So I used to start to become a bully now. So I bully people in school and take the thing. That might be the money, the lunch.
All right, so those of you who just joined us, that is what you missed last Sunday, but we'll continue the journey with John now, and again, you can join us on Facebook or YouTube, or those of you on radio, welcome. Let me quickly touch on the Don't Drop the Soap PSA. They have two of them, one with a mother, one with a father. The one with the father, now this recording was done at Brixton Prison in London. Natasha and I sat in that radio station up there and recorded the audio with this, assisted by officers of the
Prison Radio
Association. And we got two examples of how both parents respond to their children. A mother responds in one way and a father responds in. This was one of the ways a father responded to a son who told us that in prison up there. Because he was fed up. So it is no disrespect. We just try to keep it real. That's all. In the other PSA, you will hear how the mother responds, which is a totally different response to what the father responds. Most fathers are like that. So that's it, just for educational purposes only. All right. So, John, good morning to you. And thank you once again for your patience. I mean, I know you would have got your memory jogged a bit by listening back to some of your clips. So the question is now, John, you can hear us, right?
Yes, Mr. Assassin.
Nice.
Yes, Mr. Assassin.
So about family life and your wife and children, because we didn't touch on that on the last occasion. So tell us about the family life. Let's start with your mom. What's the relationship like with you and your mom now?
Well, everything good now, but we don't stay in contact as much because, cell phones illegal in jail and it'll be a little tough sometimes to reach to the welfare because there's a big population, so you just have to wait your turn. But other than that, the relationship normal.
All right. And let's talk about wife and children now.
Right. Well, my wife in America. Well, my daughter is done a big deal, and my son's still going to school. I try my best to keep a good relationship with them, even though I'm in prison. I have plenty to pay for because, I ain't really there for them, so I have to apologize right through to them, but I try my best.
How old?
Sorry.
So I was just gonna ask, how old were you when you got together with your wife and had your first child? And what was your life situation at that point?
Well, I met my wife when I was young, like about 20, 21. I didn't have my first child till I was like about 24 years old.
Okay.
I came and got a daughter.
Now,
and then,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, and after I get my daughter, I started like when the process of change kind of started, but it didn't fully happen for me yet because, I still had certain things I was to fix with myself and things. So.
Now, you and your wife live together with the children?
Yeah, the children is now with my wife. The children is outside of was outside of my marriage.
Okay. So, let's deal with the relationship with the wife now. Isn't that ironic? Your wife is an American, or she decided to move to America?
She's American born, but she mother and father from Trinidad, so she had dual citizenship.
Right. And but you don't see a pattern here?
Yeah.
Your mom was in the States, your father here. Now she's in the States and you here in prison.
Yeah, as I say now, the children and them is out of the marriage. My wife is not. Yeah,
I know, but no, I'm just looking at the connection between your mom and dad and you, and but you don't have any children with this wife who is in America.
No.
Okay,
no,
so that's the only fortunate thing I should say, because we don't want a continuance of
Yeah,
what happened with you.
my children are now way better track than me. Due to the experience I had, I share it with them and try and keep them on track. So them
No.
kind of in a better position than I would have been when I was them age.
So their mother in Trinidad.
Yeah.
And you still communicate with her?
Yes, yes.
As much as possible, I suppose.
As much as possible.
Now, what are the hopes of you reuniting with your wife? Is that in the cards at all, or you all have moved on?
Well, we still go down, but we kind of move on because the situation I in, it really have a date on it for our expiry date, so But we
Yes.
still go along good. We still get along, just not as a married couple.
Wow. Because now you have to readjust. How was adjusting to the new prison life now? Because now you have to adjust where you cannot be with your loved ones any longer. And how did you make that adjustment?
Well, it was hard in the beginning. When I now come into prison, it was hard for me because accustomed to the lifestyle out there with them. And then, well, it done hard already to keep children on track from in the house with them, much less for the position I was in. So I get thanks to my children more than them too, because they play a really important role. And really, we just really try our best. I guess so far it paying off for me. Because my daughter leaves school, she passes. It's not like, maybe it affects she, but not with she education. So I guess that was a plus for me. And well, my son's still going to school, but he's doing alright. He don't get trouble or nothing. He's view life in a different way. So yeah, so more or less them is gonna help me because they don't give me no trouble. So it make it a little easier for me within the prison, other than well to say well I getting calls that my daughter getting trouble or my son getting trouble or
Now, did at any point in time when you started your journey in prison, did you get to that point of, wow, I messed up, really?
Yeah, plenty times I get to that point when they get older, when they have graduation, Christmas time. Even like when I go in on mentoring and I out in the crew, I reflect, I know that is I get with that. When I go out there and see freedom, I don't be like the police take away my freedom. I just watch it like I give away my freedom.
Well said.
That kind of way.
Yes, well said, because you did, and I don't know, the other question eludes me now, but there's a reality, facing the reality about prison life. Now you have to face a reality.
Correct.
Yeah, because you mentioned the last week that when you went to prison the first time, it was just like, okay, I can, this is how it is.
Yeah, just a pass through, so it
pass through. So now that you've been there for,
and then I did not children too, so it was different for me.
Right.
At that time, I didn't really have responsibilities and things at that time, so it was whatever. But then when I can't get children and they're looking up to me, and my children love me and they're missing me, so it started to affect me different. And that's where I started to come and get change now within myself and start be a little more real with myself.
Because remember, you said, I don't know if you heard that clip when we played it a while ago. One of your friends told you, take it down, you're going to end up in prison. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I had a few good friends. As I say, when you're young, everybody who is your friend, your acquaintances, is be doing the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
When you're young, it doesn't really have a barrier within friendship. When you get older, we do the wrong thing, so we slime together. When you're younger, the wrong thing, the right thing, everybody's be together normal.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with John at the maximum security prison through Rise Maximum Radio. So you had to readjust now because this time you're in prison for the long haul, right?
So how did you adjust to life in prison? Because that is not an easy transition for anybody to make.
Yeah, it was hard because out on the block, I come like the bosses in prison, if you understand what I say. like Mr. Rangutan them when I out on the block. You know, I important out there now in on the block. So when I come in jail now, I a big man and men telling me I had to put my jersey in my pants, I had to line up, I had to do as them say. You know, and it was things that they're teaching you since in school, but you know, I never really practice it or take it, so it was real rough for me when I now come in prison. You know, our officer again, you vex, you wanna kill him because you find he fighting you down and you know,
Hmm.
you ain't going to court, so you vex. Yes, you find like the officers and them in seeking your interest. So that why I used to feel when I now come in prison. But as time go on, I started to realize, well, it was really the judiciary was holding back because our officer work is really just to keep and treat. So they didn't really have nothing to do with my case matter. So I stopped really, you know, study them now, boy, and start focus more on the judiciary and them kind of thing.
Now, you said something very important there about the officers. And officers have to face on a daily basis people on remand who don't know when they're going home.
Yeah.
How is that,
Be a little
that
frustrating.
for you and for them, or
For
you know?
everybody on the whole, because it's like, right, like, I see officers say, this man real cool down since he gone in the blue. The reason why he cool down since he gone in blue, because the game had date to go. So you
Right.
know who he working with. But when you're on the remand, yeah, there's no, my case going up nearly a decade already and nothing ever gone for me. So, you know, it's a guess. So when you're talking to your children and your family, you know, and they say, how long again? Whatever time you tell them is a guess. If you tell them I'll come home next year, you're really guessing. If you tell them next 5 years, you're still guessing it. You know,
Yes.
and that is the conversation, and then people is get fed up of that conversation. They start to get unreal. And you know, now it is going to end up, people is start to fall out the race. Who like it is going to look for you once. But if they don't love you, they ain't coming back.
So, how did you personally come to that realization that I'm here? Let me make the most of my time while I'm here.
So yes,
Well,
when did it hit you that, hey, well, it's time to at least
it hit
fix
me
you?
when my case go upstairs is when it hit me. Because they say you have to burn to learn, but I know observance is a good lesson too. And I observing over the period of time I realized men ain't going on in no less time than a decade once you're charged for murder in Trinidad and Tobago. Whether you have a good case or a bad case, it don't matter. You have evidence, you do have evidence. You have to make a decade. Nothing less I realize. And I don't know, I find that kind of wrong, but it's not solely up to me. And then as I put myself in a position, so it's a matter to live with for now. That don't make it right that it happening, you know, but
Hmm.
I just, that one of the regrets I have to live with.
Yep, it is very unfair. I mean, if you charge a person with something and you should move swiftly to resolve it and don't have them, hoping and waiting for years. But be that as it may, talk a little bit more about how you as an individual are coping or manage to cope in that system, because let's talk about being in prison. I mean, God has been there. It is not an easy thing. I think John Public does not really understand what it is like to have your freedom taken away.
Yeah, they doesn't understand the emotional part of it. It's just be like, right, he do something wrong, so he's supposed to make jail. But yeah, I remember a man is still a human too at the end of the day. And even though a man, it come like the perpetrator and the victim, everybody have family who love them, everybody is somebody father, everybody is somebody son, somebody brother, somebody cousin. So no, we kind of take them thing into consideration too. And I find for a man to be in prison so long, you see, it worked for me in a sense. I kind of get through because I started enroll myself in plenty course and think I start see time just going and nothing happening. So I stopped depending on the judiciary to give me a date. So I started make use of my time. I started enroll myself in the course and them kind of thing, and that kind of give me a different view on life, and that kind of really helped me out too. Apart from me thinking on my own, everybody's need that help, that extra push. So the course and them why I take kind of help me. And then, well, due to the course, them now I start uplift myself. I start to carry myself around a better life like that people, you know, better officers. And men would have just kind of mentor me and show me a better light now. So I just see the crime life as a big failure. I think like I just waste my time. You know? I just did not nobody to really break it down for me as a youth growing up. So to all the youths who listen, I just hope, you know, they get the message and don't have to go down this road to 40 years down the road, 50 years down the road, you still regret for one little bad move you did make. When you did know, you just didn't really, you know, exercise in your knowledge. Yeah, what is for me in the world.
We're having a little technical difficulty.
We're losing it a little
yes,
bit
we're
there,
losing the
John.
feed a little bit. You know how these internet feeds are tricky. So, but those of you just
Yeah, no
joining us,
problem,
thank
no
you very
problem.
much. You're listening to Our Dependency, and you're hearing from John out there at the Maximum Security Prison, and we are speaking with him through my Maximum radio station. And he's giving us the part 2 of his journey, and he's speaking now, adjusting to prison life. And we welcome Mr. Goodridge from South Central Region. Good morning to you and the folks there out of the Civilian Conservation Corps as well who are joining us. And thank you for representing your region, whichever region you're joining us from. And so John, you're back with us?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Right, yes, we had a little difficulty, a little chopping up of the feed there a while ago. Now, you spoke about, I didn't know, for those who just joined us, there's a time during incarceration, you realize that either I give in to prisonization or I turn my life around and start to make something of my life. But you said something interesting, that you're waiting on the judiciary. Now, how long you think you can wait before getting even more frustrated?
Every day this frustrate me, but I is trying not to think about it. Okay, that's more important thing. It's nothing I could do about it, so I is trying not to worry about what I can do, why I have no power over. If you understand. Why I have power over is my time wasting, so I do something about that. So I
Do you
enroll
have legal
myself in a,
representation?
yeah, I have legal representation. But
What's
you
that
know how it is go,
relationship
them
like?
and all. Well, regular, you know how it is go, it doesn't really be important to a lawyer, you know, that's really the paycheck. It's not like they really care or they really, you know. I don't feel they really care to win a case. I don't know that what does look to me. I don't know from other people's view. I don't know one ex-man or a man lawyer this deal with he, but from my point of view, I find more could have been done. But as we say again, maybe I ain't from an important family, so I
Right.
was not as important to them. So it was just a anyhow kind of thing.
No,
I don't find I think my money good, but
sorry, go
such
ahead,
is
say that
life.
again.
He's
I
not
say I
getting
did.
his
I don't
money's
find I
worth.
did get more money's worth in the low court with
Right.
my lawyer, but it don't happen. So
And is that a general consensus with people on remand that they feel hard done by the legal system?
yeah, I believe so. A lot of people doesn't get good representation in the prison. I'll be honest with you. I believe if you have a good family name or you come from a certain area or they didn't really know you, they doesn't really pay that much mind to you, I find. Plenty negligence, and I just find them not really on board with man defense, you know. Because there are plenty innocent people in jail as well too, you know. The jail in full of criminal, the jail full of all kind of different people.
And that's the sad part. And you could imagine what the mental state of a man or woman would be knowing that they're in prison and they should not be there, they're innocent, and
Yeah.
they just have an indefinite stay.
Right. So let we say so all right, so you didn't really do it and they say was you. Well, all right, that it done happen. But himself, well, within a 6 months we clear it up. That would be a cool scene. Why
Right.
man had to be over a decade waiting to clear up something more he didn't even do. And that way we have to remember now a man innocent until proven guilty.
Correct.
And you just have to wait indefinitely because and you're right, we indefinitely, because we interviewed at least 4 people who spent, 4 to 6 years in prison, each for crimes they did not commit. And it's not because they didn't have any evidence; it was proven that they did not commit the crime. And
and it hard on the remand, especially as an innocent person who not
yes,
guilty and in making all that hardship on the remand and sleep on the floor. People using the toilet within a little 10 by 10, all them little thing, it a little hard. And that has changed some people. I mean, it worked for me and I changed for the better, but it are good people coming in who changing for the worse too, all that to look up on that too.
Well, talk about
Because
that a little bit now. How does jail?
Time is coming with the passes. They just make a little mistake. Maybe the whole a gun farmer and the police hold them same time. They never really have no criminal background or nothing like that. But they in jail now. So when they sit down in the remand with a man who actually does do something, and they exchange stories, and some men just end up going down the road. Remember, everybody is glorify what they do, regardless of how it is. But I'd be good or wrong.
and someone could actually be turned against society.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they're watching how long the case taking to think all that is play a part. So they come in good. They go in a cell to make hard jail. They lie in with men who is the own teacher in their own sense. They teaching the wrong thing. And yeah, next thing they go out there, they linking with inmates. They start to do the wrong thing. They now come out of jail, they get rejected because they now come from jail. So they'll start back to lean to that vibes and
Well, this comes back
Let's
to
go
what you
like that.
mentioned earlier, Garth, about prison being a university. So you could come out with a degree in an actual degree from a university or a degree in criminality.
It's what faculty you want to enroll yourself in. Like all of them here.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency. We're going to take a break, and when we return, John going to speak about accepting his fate, the about turn that he made, and how did the prison service aid in his rehabilitation, because now the prisons have that opportunity to turn people's lives around. So after this break, we're going to hear from John again as we continue this journey here on Dependency. Stay right there. We'll be back. Short one, take it away.
Ah boy. Feel I'm gonna buy myself a senorita tonight.
Nah. You know you might be promoting slavery.
Slavery? What you talking about?
Hey, modern day slavery or human trafficking is just what some of these people just do. You know some of these women were tricked to come here? Some are held against their will, abused, and even beaten. Most times the girls don't even see any of the money that is paid for them. And every night, they just have to come out looking nice and sexy for somebody like you. Human trafficking is a serious problem and a serious crime. Persons who solicit commercial sex services may be contributing to human trafficking. A message from the Counter-Trafficking Unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Hello. Hi, this is Patricia Kent from HMP London. Can I speak to Miss Sheila, please? This is Miss Sheila. Hi, I've got an important call for you. Please hold the line.
Mommy, it's Sherry.
Oh God, Sherry, we looking for you all the time. 3 weeks now. Where you going?
Mommy, according to tell you, I get locked up. I had drugs in my luggage and I'm in England right now. In jail.
Oh God, Sherry, what? What you do? How you reach there? Oh God, how we gonna do?
Oh God, Mommy, don't cry. It'll be alright. Sorry.
On Dependency, reality radio at its best every Sunday on I-95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
On Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Ion Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Ion Dependency, and you are listening, or you have been listening if you've been tuned in since 10 o'clock, to John, who is joining us from Rise Maximum Radio up at the Maximum Security Prison in Aruca.
Yes, and we continue with his journey. We are at a very important juncture here now, where John. One day, John, I can't remember what you said, but for those people who just joining us, there comes a time in the prison you say, look, it's either I go left or I go right. Either I go left or I go right. When did you make that decision?
I made that decision when my case went upstairs.
Tell us about that.
Well, as I was saying, sometimes observation is be a good teacher too. It doesn't always have to burn to learn. And from my observation, I know that when your case go upstairs, it come like they put you on the shelf, you're kegging. So I know it's going to take a long time before I could get my day in court. So I started enroll myself in little courses and like anger management, critical thinking, to help me along the way. And it helped, it worked for me because even though I was done, make up my mind to go the direction, the little help was good. And I'm saying that I could not do it by myself, but it was a big plus. It'd be a good thing that the prisoners had them little course and thing. It's really be helpful for who interested in it.
Was it difficult for you to access those training opportunities even though you're on remand? Because we know that the rules are different for convicted and remanded prisoners.
Well, I wouldn't say difficult, but it's not like you could just go a morning and sign up for a course. You have to wait till the course and them coming around, and if you're interested, hope that you catch it. Because I say the population in the remand big, and it's not that they don't want to get the opportunity, but the list always full. So, it ain't hard, but it kind of hard to get on the list.
Now, did you have access? You said you learned to read in prison. Was it
like
altar class? Or somebody taught you?
It have English class and them thing, but I just really from me having none to do because you lock down 23 hours, you only get an hour airing. And after that hour airing, you only get to come out your cell to go for your diet. Other than that, you're in your cell whole day. So I started picking up newspapers and I did done all the basics from school, so it was just to kind of put it into practice, and that's how I really learned to read in prison.
So I guess Gulf newspapers do have a purpose, apart from slandering African boys. They can teach people. They can be useful in teaching people to read.
No, I agree. I didn't say they're useless, but it's just that what they focus on is the scale needs to be balanced. John, you could bear me out on this. When you read the newspaper, how do you feel about your country, knowing too that you were at one time a part of what we're seeing on the newspaper today?
Well, when I read the papers, I'd be a bit worried because as a parent now, I really would like a safe environment for my children to grow and live in. So if I could help change it in any way, I would try because I concern about my children's future, not just my children, but all the children. I don't want to get old and I can't go down the road and thing, you understand?
But it's ironic that you would use that to describe the something that you are part of. Now you're concerned that you left your children in that and you left them defenseless, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So we have to trying to do what we could do because everybody.
So you turned your life around inside prison. What are you doing now? What's your contribution now to the prison?
Well, other than mentoring, I try my best to get the message across any way I could. Whether it be live broadcast around prison. Anytime I see a man make a bad move, I'll try my best, reason with him. Plenty people out there just be like, them children are them children are. Who's really children?
John, hold on.
Leave the house and
Hold on.
go out of the
Hold
and
on a
hear what they
second,
like
guys.
and what they don't like.
Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. What you have to say is very valuable, and every time we get an interruption in the feed, I don't know if it's switching a little position may help. I don't know, but we get intermittent interruptions. So, could you just go over that part again, because we missed a lot? You broke up there a lot.
So, what question again, Mr. Sinclair?
Right. You're still breaking up. Is there anything we could do about that, Shortman? Or it's just what we have to contend with via this?
But the question
network of
was,
ours?
what are you doing now to assist, apart from, and we had the mentoring process, and you went on to say a few more things that we didn't pick up.
Right. So, for instance, are you seeing young men, people younger than you coming into prison on remand right now?
Yeah, a lot. Some just head the good direction, some head in the bad direction. It had a graduation yesterday for some graduates who do some life skills or something. I'm not sure what the course was. So, yeah, it had people doing good. Not everybody is get catch, but, you know. Yeah, and Mr. Sinclair?
Are you hearing us, John?
Yeah, we wasn't picking up just now.
Yeah, because the mics were off. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
And sorry about for those of you who are listening. We probably had a long dead stroke of dead air there. No, we were asking you, John, how, by God's grace, you're released from prison. Like somebody is listening to you now, and decide, let's get this young man out of there because he has lots to contribute. How do you plan to make that contribution once released into society again?
Well, I wouldn't want to say that I will be a community leader because you know what community leader in Trinidad is.
Well, the connotation. Yes.
Yeah, but I can't say, but for goodness, you understand, I don't know exactly which part I will enroll myself. But from in the prison into mentoring and however I could share my story and help people, I try my best. So for now, that is really my plan.
And it's really hard to turn your life around or to continue to work on that, not knowing when you're going to be going home, because down the road you could be released from prison when you reach the age of 90.
Yeah.
And that level of uncertainty is could play on your mind too, as well.
Of course.
Did you ever?
You see this play on some people's mind positive, and then it will play on other people's mind negative. I would say it was positive for me because I kind of was giving me the push to really enroll myself in the course and them.
Right.
Like that, other people might be as strong, and when they're going through that, they'll just give up.
Now, if you can turn back the hands of time and change something, what would you do different?
I would have value for myself. Because once I had value for myself, everything would have fallen into place. Because if is not having value for myself was making me do the wrong things. So if I had value for myself, I would have go to school, I would have learned how to teach me, I would have a vision for the future. But I didn't have that, so
But you don't think some of the responsibility lies as well with the adults in your life? Not necessarily just your parents, but all of the other adults.
Yeah, it does. As I say, everybody's had to play their part. The neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
the taxi driver, the school teacher, everybody. But at the end of the day, even though them play a part, I had to hold the responsibility for it because it's my life, it's not them life, and is I who get affected by it. So I had to also stop studying who didn't do this or who didn't do that for me. Yes, I study them thing when you're a child, when you're a teenager, when you're under people. When you turn adult, you have to stop studying and start handling it for yourself because your life now, you know.
Hmm.
And
Gotcha.
Because
they
the
get
the young
motivated, they want to be good too. You know? Remember, people who good in society ain't really too good. They just it's showtime too. They ain't really all that good in the heart. So the whole
yeah.
place on a whole need a little cleansing.
This is true. So, what are these skills, these specific skills that you've learned? You mentioned some of the courses that you've been a part of, but if you are released next week or next month, how are you going to survive on the outside? Do you have a
Yeah,
marketable skill?
have a few trades. I did a few trades. So you know,
Mm.
I, I'll be able to get I'll be able to get employment. 'Cause I have a few trades. A
Now,
few trades under my belt.
keeping in mind that you now have a gap in your life, and
Mm-hmm.
the prospective employer will want to know what happened during that gap,
Yep.
or to
Yeah.
cause that gap. How do you plan to explain that?
Right. Well, from for me, it wouldn't be much of a problem because the little trades where I learn, I could be self-employed, so it might be much of an impact for me personally. But for other men, it would be. You know, let's say if a man learn carpentry or some man he go out there to do carpentry, you got to like you can't tell the man he was locked up because then a man might get arrested to hire him. It wouldn't be that for me. I a man more kind of head in the self-employed direction, but I could still kind of understand how it could be for other men. It will be a little rough. And then when you come out here, if you ain't have a good place to stay, if you come back out there and you really have family to stay by and thing, then it will be hard to really get started because to get work coming from and you really have somewhere to stay or the first work you get, you have to be paying rent. That will be a little hard too. So I don't know if the government could put something in place for men who spend a certain amount of time in prison to kind of get them off their feet. Because then sometimes it might be the choice. They might have to go back and do what they're doing. Because a man ain't go invite you home in the house with your wife and your children. But your brethren down the road who's selling drugs in a house with nobody, he could invite you and you have to sleep in the night. So you can end up back on that road, even if you don't want to, without support.
Correct. Correct.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
we have two questions for you to, John, from people listening. Let me go with the one from Canada first. Can you? They want to know a breakdown, if you can, off the top of your head, give us the a head count of the average. What's the average age of people you see in coming in prison? Young men, especially between, let's say, from 18 to 25.
18, yeah, about 18 to 25, around that age group. Mainly, right now.
Mainly.
Yeah, mainly. Like 90%.
90%
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of the young men on remand are from 18 to
Yes,
25, between that age.
young men. If a man is 25 years and done talking about it, don't make close to 10 years in jail and all kind of thing.
And are they? Do they have this? Some of them possess the same problem with regard to illiteracy.
Some, but not all. Some of them. It kind of 50-50. Plenty of them coming in jail literate. They just, how the place is, how they is, some this or some that, you know.
And
They getting involved because it's all around now, you see. It ain't hard to get involved again. It's not one man doing bad in your neighborhood, so you just have to stay away from him. It
Yeah.
kind of more, it's all over now, so it's harder to dodge.
So we are losing a lot of young men in our society, John.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't that
And
scare
it's up to
you?
we, it's up to we, it's up to everybody. Yeah, it scare me, man. But tell your children.
Yeah,
So
you
when my
know.
children finish now and get all the passes and get a good work. They still can enjoy life 'cause when they get paid, they go straight home because the streets how they scary and they okay be out there, so they come like they in prison. How they go end up at prison.
Or maybe you said you had a daughter, right? Suppose your daughter
Yeah.
meets a guy like you
Mm-hmm.
and fall in love with him.
So
Well,
suppose that happened, John, what you'll do? How would you feel? You can't do anything.
I have plenty more work to do.
Because
Okay,
you
I
know,
reject him, I got to culture him.
yeah, because sometimes it works, it
I
goes
go end
like
up
that.
with an extra child. No, like extra child I want again now. 'Cause if my daughter don't accept him, then I got to have to put in my work here now. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, because sometimes that generational thing happens, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I could imagine your concern. Another question is how did he go about finding value for himself, given the life he has lived
And his present
and his
situation.
present situation? This is a question
Well,
from Francis Walcott.
it was, for me, it was my children and thinking about them future now.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I want to be there for them, and as I say, I want a safe environment for them to grow and live in.
Right.
So himself, I could come on this station, and himself, I could change her two mind. I still do something. If you
Yes.
change two, the lady changed two, I done six.
Someone has
You know?
another question, John. Someone's asking if your father ever did prison time that you're aware of.
Yeah, yeah.
He did.
Yeah, he did do prison time once. Believe it or not, that was after me.
What?
After you?
For
Yeah,
possession?
because getting locked up for smoking, but I guess he did. I guess he never really get locked up before for smoking, but after he passed through the prison about the third time, he ended up passing through the prison for possession of narcotics.
Were you all ever in prison at the same time?
No, no.
Okay.
When I left, he came in like
He
a
came
month
in.
after.
Wow.
But like it was a fine pay, it was a misdemeanor crime or something. You just pay a fine, come out, do the same thing I do when you come out, he say you go stop smoke. But I just the come out feeling.
Correct.
They come out feeling.
Yeah, there's about come out feeling when you now come out and so you come
Right.
out feeling, you know, the jail. You know?
Yeah.
So you feel like a take on the world, or
It's a good some it's good, some is bad. Some people come out with the feeling to change. Sometimes as you reach on the block, men glorify you, so you get back in your hero status. You know?
right. Like, explain to us a little bit about that. What is the rank in going to prison? What is that about?
Hero status, as you said.
Well, I can't really explain it because I don't know. As I say, plenty things the youths doing is really madness. But remember, most of the rappers is talk about I was in jail and they make jail, so I don't know if it's. I really can't explain what it is. They might have to go to a psychiatrist to really break down the mental status of that vibes. But you know, I don't know. But when you go out there, like when you come in jail, it's be sad. You get locked up, you're by yourself, whatever. But as you go back out there, everybody glorifying you. All your friends and them, you make jail, you come out, you make a little laugh, whatever. They're feeling like somebody, you know, 'cause in the hood that way it is. Like in the rich man world, when I guess when they back out, they get a good work. Like what is go and talk about when they meet. But in the hood, when you meet, you really talk about your crime and, well, you know, them kind of thing. So I don't know if it's that is glorified or what.
Now we have some youngsters listening.
Maybe it is they're not really glorifying. Maybe when their friend pull on them, they just don't wanna sound foolish, so they wanna sound macho, so they'll talk big.
Yes. Yes.
I went in and I do this and I do that and
Right.
I was normal and I thought Kiki lash me or something with that dead and that kind of vibes now, you know.
Yeah.
It could be that.
Yep.
Now we have some young people listening to you, and what would you say to them? What message do you have for these youngsters listening to you this morning?
My message will be to just stop and think and look down the road. If you see the rain falling, it's obvious you have to pick up an umbrella. Same way your parents go see you going down the road and know it go end up to a jail situation because of the experience. Don't feel they don't know. Always remember that your parents was your age, you was never them age. Not because your father have a work, that mean he didn't get peer pressure in school. and all them things. So listen to your elders, that your best interests at heart, and just try to think of some value for yourself. Somebody will love you someday. You mightn't see the love right away. You might be expecting more. Men might be getting gifts you not getting, but it's a more to life. I don't know. That the message I will give to them in the best way that I could.
No.
And then, other than that, action they speak louder than words. So it's not really about what you're saying to, You have to lead by example. I can't tell my child to go down the road and smoke marijuana and he come home and he's smoking weed in the joint room. Even though it decriminalized now or whatever, but just as a reference.
Of course, yes, I see that all the time.
Yep.
And there are a lot of youngsters going through that right now, and parents tend to think that, well, I'm the boss here, so I could smoke any part of yours I want.
Yep.
But
Yeah. But you
Not
see
knowing-
now that come like long time when we would have be linemen on the corner, if a man start a cuss, and XL that would have be like, hey, the children did. And then they would have say sorry because they have respect for the children. Long time you could not sit down and watch no rudeness on TV to your parents. Because they have
Right.
respect for children, but now people don't have respect for children, they cussing from them. Mommy and child go in the same party. You whining in that corner, I whining in that corner. So the respect for children too, you have to have respect for children. Everybody always saying that the children disrespectful and they have no respect for the elders. But remember, them is only do what they learn. And if that's what we teaching them, that's what they're doing. So we have to start back to our respect for children too.
Yes,
But it's
very
hard to do
important
that.
point.
It's hard
It
to do that
is.
on cell phone. Respect
because
on it.
Natasha, Natasha was enjoying a reference here, right? When we were listening to you earlier on, when you go to buy alcohol as a school child, would you all buy it in uniform or out of uniform? And did anybody ever ask you for ID before they sold you alcohol?
It was out of uniform, but back in my day, it wasn't ID thing yet. They didn't use that no ID to go in no party and they didn't need no ID to go and buy cigarette. Once you look the age, you could buy. It wasn't as serious back in the days. It might have been easy, I don't know.
No, well, we don't even have that now. I don't think. Do they ask for ID before you go in party here now?
Yeah, well, I think so since the episode with Acorn and the Zen.
Mm-hmm.
They did that.
Yeah,
But
but
I
that
don't
was.
really not sure
Yeah,
about
but, yeah, that wasn't put into practice. That was just
Well,
mentioned.
maybe
We
it was
should do
just
that.
maybe it was just for a period of time like everything else.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but it was always illegal to sell alcohol or
To minors, that's-
tobacco to minors.
Right,
Huh?
but right, but not till it hit the front page. It go be relevant for like a 2-3 months, and then people will off it again and
Yeah.
just go back to normal. So,
But the bigger point that I was trying to make by bringing that up is that and to tag on to what you just said about respect for children, as adults, responsible adults in society, we are supposed to be the protectors, right?
Yeah,
And to prevent young people from or don't expose them to things that might be harmful. And nicotine and
Correct.
alcohol are obviously two of those things.
And then long ago,
Yeah,
John.
example, they help.
And then long ago, John, we as little boys couldn't line on the block among big men, but now big men
No.
encouraging little boys to line with them. Not so?
Yeah, to handle the scene and then because I don't want to go down the road and shoot Harry again. I could send small man to handle it.
Correct.
So I out of danger now.
Yep.
No. Before we
I
take
will
a
them
break,
value coming.
right? Before we take a break, do and come back with Mr. Prince, and speak to Mr. Prince for a few minutes. Again, another question is, and I'm sure you could make light of this quickly so that we could go to the break. But there are some children who gravitate towards the fast way of life, and they just go through the school system. Is it because they have walked the same road like you, or is it because they influence? Why choose the way?
It are people who in walk the road like me and mentally they're worse than me. So I don't know if it's the media controlling the mind. Well, it's kind of the media because that's what happening now. Everybody tattoo up everybody. You know, living that life. So what the rappers them doing, whatever the rappers doing, whatever showing on TV is what everybody is doing.
So there are some people who feel they don't need a trade or education before they leave school. They will make it even though they don't have that.
Yeah, it are real people feel so.
And
Real people feel so.
why you think? Because
Oh,
they are influenced.
because there's be influence and well, remember Trinidad is still a loving place, you could still eat a plate of food by a neighbor. So you might be walking, but you eat every day for the week. So it might not be as serious as,
All right, John.
It'll
If you
be a whole
just
lot of different things.
say again.
I say there'll be a whole lot of different angles it is be coming from now. It isn't just like one angle.
Um, I know there are things, there are occasions when it will hit you, either Christmas, birthdays, anniversaries, all of that. When that come around, how does that affect you, especially Christmas?
Yeah, well, this Trinidad, so remember all celebrations we just celebrate, whether it be, Christmas or Diwali or Easter, we just, regardless of your religion, we celebrate also. I just miss them thing. I just miss, I know with my family, you know. I can't really do what I want to do. Most of the time I call it just really to apologize for not being there. And that'll be kind of hard, you know. But I had to live with that and I regret I had to live with.
I just going to ask you about. I just going to ask you about that, about regret, and your mom. So who comes? Who anybody comes to visit you and get your visit bags to you, or that's
Yeah, I
another
get
thing.
my little visit. Yeah, I get my little visit and thing. I get my little visit and thing.
What about the
Over a
youngster?
period of time, I doesn't really, other than toiletries, I doesn't really need much visit because more or less the jailers provide food and things. So, and
Understand?
everybody parents could afford to visit them. That men parents visiting them every week and buying big bag. It other men don't really get much visit because their family can afford it. So they might get a little less visit.
And is it easy to get somebody influenced because they don't get much visits?
Yeah. Yeah, as your family checking up on you, you get a new family, it have a man to get a biscuit. To always have a man to get a biscuit.
But
But
there's a
once you get
price.
that biscuit, he is getting back on him like the boss, so you get up every morning, you go and check the boss. You see the boss, I think normal thing where your tea or your coffee. I'm gonna go for your diet fare. That's how the thing is go.
Wow.
The fortunate is be the boss are the less fortunate.
I
Yep.
hear that.
And I think the same is true on the outside, not so?
Yeah.
In a sense, because if you go to the politician, for instance, to get a little N, you will get that
Yeah.
N by the drug dealer on the block.
Correct.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with John, and he is closing off his journey with us and his life as a youngster going into prison, and how he's faring now, and what are his plans for the future. I know, again, you just have to keep swimming. One day but your swim is a very long one. And
Swimming
to avoid
across the Pacific right now.
Yeah, and you have to swim till you see land. That's how it is with you on remand. That you have to wait until someone decides, okay, let's bring him to the front of the line now and deal with his case and get him out of the system, because, again, it's taxpayers paying for you to be there. So, John, we're going to take a break, folks. Steve Legard, I know you are still there, looking on patiently. So let's go to a break. And when we return, we will speak with Mr. Prince. Mr. Prince, who is standing by, waiting to speak with us. And Mr. Prince is the Acting Assistant Commissioner of Prison in the Public Relations, Information, and Communications Department. Stay right there. We'll be back.
Hello, Mr. Dobson here from HMP London. Can I speak to Mr. James, please?
This is Mr. James speaking.
Thank you. Can you hold the line? I have a call coming through to you, sir.
Sure.
Hello, Daddy.
Hello, yes, Brian?
Daddy, I'm just calling to tell you that look up in the UK for drug trafficking.
Oh yeah? You lock up? And you tell me I was going to Tobago? And I tell you about them boy I was lying with? Well, alright. Don't drop the soap. Carry on.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday from 6:15 to 8 p.m. on I 95.5 FM. Don't miss it.
Go, sona. I come in. And don't give me no attitude there.
You have sheer manners, boy. I wish I had your touch, boy.
You have to groom them. First, you have to target them. Scope them out. See if they have low self-esteem. Family problems, you know? Then you move in and gain the trust.
I like your glasses.
After that, you feel a need. Some of them like nice things like fancy phones, hairdos, clothes, food. It have ones who only looking for somebody to care and listen to the problems. You feel me? What's important though, you have to isolate them from the people. Let them believe it's all about you and them.
I care about you.
Then you get through.
Nice, nice.
Look one right here. Try thing now.
A message from the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I 95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Thank you for staying with us. You're listening to Dependency, and we're about to hook up with Mr. Prince. We have another question for you, John, but I was just listening to a voice of my brother living out there in Canada, and I'm glad I just started listening to the voice, but I'm glad he raised the issue of village and community raising a child.
Yeah.
We don't have that any longer in Trinidad and Tobago, folks. It's something that is bugging me, because remember, we don't have any. Just like how we grew up in Coquille together, all of us, we migrated eventually. And we went to other parts of the world, including Trinidad and Tobago, and settled in communities with people who we hardly even speak with. Remember, I can't help but notice, and I raise this in Natasha all the time, there are people who moved in next door to us, like 2 years now, and they have not even said as much as good morning to us. And they have a son or a grandson who would come out and do the same thing. Stare you in your face and not say good morning. And these are adults I'm talking about, full-grown adults doing that to this day. And I find that so sad to know that we grew up differently. We grew up respecting neighbors, elders, and saying good morning. You don't have to know somebody. We don't want to be their friends, but manners, you know what I mean? And we don't even have that any longer. So imagine me telling her child or pulling up her child or that child when he walking around and pass me straight and say, hey, youngster, say good morning. Well, they might come and cuss me for telling him to tell me morning. That's how it is in Trinidad and Tobago right now, and it's sad. It breaks my heart to see where we reach. But that's the sad reality. Right next door. And wouldn't even say morning. And we live in communities like that. There are people who on WhatsApp group don't even speak to each other. They don't even know each
In
other.
real life.
But they're in WhatsApp community groups.
Yeah,
you
true.
know?
Very true.
Some of them in WhatsApp group and they watch you and pass you straight. But I have to watch your back because we're in a group together. It freaks me out to where we reached today in Trinidad and Tobago. What did you do, Mr. Prince?
We're gonna try him again. I told him to stay by his phone.
Yeah, but Gary.
He said he wasn't hearing anything the last time.
Okay, so folks, we're trying to hook up with Mr. Prince. Try him on this number.
But some of those things, I don't mean to switch gears so sharply, but some of those things that you talk about children being respectful to adults by saying morning and that kind of thing, sometimes can lead to abuse in a way. Yes. Because it's the same kind of thing that we demand of children to have to interact with adults in a certain way. Like you would tell a child, go and tell your uncle or your aunt or your grandfather, go and tell them hello, go and kiss them, let them hold you, go and sit on their lap. I mean, no, I'm just saying that saying good morning, of course, is different to sitting on somebody's lap, but I'm saying it can extend to that level in the sense of how adults try to don't have respect for the children enough to let them determine who I want to say good morning to, or who I want to hug, or who I want to...
Natasha, no.
Children have agency,
Yeah, but you're going to the extreme there. I am speaking about...
I know.
I am speaking about inculcating that manners in children
manners
to other people where the village raising the child.
Yeah.
The village stopped raising the child because the village started having a problem with the village raising the child. So that's why the village no longer raising the child. We've experienced it. We have, and I'm not pointing in any, trying to call anybody name or point in any direction, but we have dealt with some youngsters who just downright totally disrespectful. But that has to start from home. My mother, we grew up and other people grew up, you cannot, in the community I'm talking about, I ain't telling you go and sit on the lap. Mm-hmm. I'm speaking about you come out your gate, you're passing in front Miss Thomas's gate, Miss Thomas is in the road, you say good morning. That's what I'm talking about, those simple basic things. But if the parent's not doing it, and the child is seeing the parent walking past me, and not even acknowledging and saying good morning, the child will do the same thing.
Yeah, but again, if you
because
can't expect
it... Say, did you say good morning? My mother used to say that,
No, my mother did not. Because if I as a child, I'm not going to say good morning to somebody I don't know, or I've never seen my parents or an adult in my family interact with. Why would I do that?
All right, let's speak to Mr. Prince. Good morning, Mr. Prince.
Good morning.
Mr. Prince?
Morning.
Women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death.
I'm not hearing Mr. Prince.
You're hearing a echo.
Just now, Mr. Prince, we fix it.
I am hearing you guys.
Right, we're hearing you now. We're hearing you now. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Prince, how are you?
Sir, I quiet this morning. Quiet as usual. First and foremost, let me say a pleasant good morning to you and your listening audience. Also, I want to acknowledge my commissioner, Mr. Diopasad Ramuta, right, who more or less was the pilot of this project. I also want to acknowledge my staff and John Smith, because it is not easy to get a remanded inmate to come on national radio and speak to our young people. So I thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, sir.
And you're welcome, Mr. Prince. And you all continue to mentor and encourage. And what's the latest with your department? And how are you all proceeding with the little or no resources that you have?
That, as a soldier, because once a soldier, always a soldier.
Correct.
Everything starts with a mission. The Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service mission statement states, and I quote, the Trinidad and Tobago Prison Service as an arm of the criminal justice system is committed to the protection of society and crime prevention by facilitating opportunities for rehabilitation of offenders while maintaining control under safe, secure, and I want to again say committed to humane conditions. So therefore, we have John Smith on the radio this morning because in our mandate, we are quite clear that in going forward, our role in crime prevention is rehabilitation and habitation. The commissioner, and I want to thank him this morning for giving me the opportunity because he came up under operational background. I want to thank him in his foresight for placing me at the helm of the radio station, where I am quite committed to ensuring that the crime rate goes down. I am quite committed. God, I want to take the opportunity to thank you, Natasha, this morning, because without you guys who continuously serve as servants of the prison, and the prison service cannot do this alone. Restorative justice says we have to bring everybody together, community, the victim, and it is my hope at one time we'll have victims speaking on this program also. So, and the court. So it is my hope that we continue this relationship, not friendship. We don't have to make friends with the prisoners. However, they are our citizens. Whoever comes into our care, they are our citizens. And we have a mandate to the Commissioner of Prisons that we must rehabilitate them. I know John Smith. John Smith came into the system very arrogant. That was the commissioner's pick. When I spoke to the commissioner, he instructed me put on John Smith. And I am so pleased to hear John Smith speak this morning that I am overwhelmed. I am overwhelmed hearing John Smith. So which means the prison system is doing something right despite the limited resources that we have. And I plead with the authorities this morning to give us the resources. Because while we focus on other aspects of the LEAs, law enforcement agencies, the prison service plays a major role in crime reduction. So God, I thank you for the opportunity. I thank you. And I would continue to thank you and all the other persons, because it's not only God, we have the Pastor Kellys, Pastor Parks, COPCAM, and a number of other NGOs, CBOs, who come into the prison to assist us in the rehabilitation of offenders. Thank you.
Mr. Prince, it's our pleasure, and I'm happy that you're back at the radio station. I know Mr. Ramuta spent some time at the radio station himself, so I know that he's really heart and soul with keeping that part of the tool in operation, that restorative justice tool, and I know when he was there and the work that he did. So, and the baton is passed on to you, and of course Steele and Agar and the rest of the crew doing their best as well.
Holding it down well.
Yes. So we want to thank you all too very much for the work that you're doing, and hopefully one day RMR will be, the Rise Maximum Radio will be part of, the wider population, and just like people can tune into any other station. In the meantime, Mr. Steele and they can give us where the public can log on to send the website so that we can post it, or the Facebook page where we can post where they can find RMR and drop in and say a few hellos and so on. So, Mr. Prince, yes, sir.
I want to leave you with a quote. And this quote came from our South African brother, Mr. Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
And I quote, "No one truly knows a nation unless they have been into the prison system. It's not how a nation treats its best citizen, but how we treat our worst. I leave Trinidad and Tobago with that.
Well said, sir. Enough said. Thank you so much, Mr. Prince. God bless.
And a quote.
Thank you so much, sir. And you take care.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
It was my pleasure.
We'll stay in touch, right? We'll meet again on Mother's Day.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay, then. Bye-bye.
Okay. Have a great day. Go on, Natasha.
You too, sir.
Same
The
to
wider Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes. You as well. Yes, folks, so that was the Acting Assistant Commissioner of Prison, Public Relations, Information and Communications, Mr. David Prince. And, Shortman, let's go to that clip C, and then we'll take some calls for John and the folks at RMR before you wrap up. So, this is what I wanted to show Pundit Maharaj. That, and the word that you use, people telling us we shouldn't use the word, but we just quoting you. The miscreants of the East-West Corridor. Look what some of them we just giving you a sneak peek. The PR department of the CCC packaging it right now, and we will show you all 8 regions. 7 in Trinidad, 1 from Tobago came together yesterday at the compound at Vemcott compound and put on a lovely drill display. Of course, they're not real trained soldiers, but the staff and crew of each region tried their best to whip them into shape in the little time that they have and the resources that they have to. So, Sherman, let's go to that.
Before you do, could you explain, guys, very briefly, what is the importance and significance of drill in terms of how it's being applied in this context? What are they using it to teach the young people?
It's to build that morale and teamwork, right? And you know how I describe drill as poetry in motion, but it's a movement of a body of people doing different, executing different turns and so on. But it's basically to build teamwork among each other and that camaraderie, and
people working together to achieve a common goal.
Right, working together to achieve a common goal. And these youngsters here, from the same socially marginalized, the same dropouts, the same miscreants, these folks were able to come together as a unit, coming from all walks of life in Trinidad and Tobago, and perform these movements that it takes only as months to get execute properly. So just give you a sneak peek of the winner. And
a sneak peek, literally.
Sneak peek, yes, folks. It's a sneak peek, so don't miss this sneak peek.
You might have to play it again. But
Yes, you might have to play it over once or twice. But I just decided to take a short clip of them executing their drill yesterday. But when we host the CCC, you will get to see the entire 8 regions perform for you. So, Shortman, let's go to that clip quickly. Steele and Agar and John, you're still with us, right?
So that's clip J.
Yes, sir.
Good.
All right.
So that is clip J, Shortman. When you if you could do that before 12, it would be nice. And we want to thank you all, folks, who just joined us. Who you can go back to our Facebook or YouTube channel if you missed this program from the beginning, and picked up what you missed.
Shortman, anytime now. That video, Jay, please.
Yes, folks, we're waiting on Shortman to pull up video J for us, and we can just give you a sneak peek of the CCC in action yesterday at Vemcott and what they did perform at the drill competition. It started by retired W1 Ian Boyce, who passed away. He's deceased now, but they just decided to continue with the tradition and have all 8 regions of CCC put on a drill display. These instructors had 1 day a week for 3 months to whip these youngsters into shape and make them look like, that they've been doing it for months. So, again, hats off to the people at the Civilian Conservation Corps. John, any closing remarks from you in the meantime? Stay with us, but Mr. Steele, Mr. Gard, anything you would like to add to this before we wrap up? We're trying to get Shortman to play this. Yes, Steel, Agard, John.
You're still with us?
All right.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Now, we have from one to part two that John, it took him 3 times being in prison to actually make change. Now, you heard boast before in part one that, you used to just say to your friends on the block, they would say what they do and you make up an entire story because they want to be in the end thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality, after 3 times being in prison, now you have seen the turnaround in John's life, all the regrets, all what he's planning to do when he goes back out. So that life of crime has changed drastically for him, that he will never venture back into that life when he gets out of prison. And, we also talk about, children nowadays, how they are different from children back then. And I know you mentioned something earlier on, Natasha, that you were saying that, it takes a village to raise a child. Now you're having children where they're not even telling you good morning, good evening. And sometimes you have you and your neighbor quarreling, so you tell the child here, what? Don't tell that neighbor good morning, don't tell that neighbor good evening. So we as parents have, need to step up. Because we want our children to go the right path. So we have a part to do as well.
Agreed. Well said.
Yeah, but and we also need to recognize that parents are not the first influence or the most significant influence in a teenager, especially teenager's life. Huh?
Who is the person?
Their friends. It may be a teacher. It may be a neighbor. Or a coach. Parent is not always.
But you're waking up with the parent and you're starting your day with them first.
Yes, of course.
And from what parents have been doing, children are copying that. Because again, it was not okay, even if the neighbor and your mother are not speaking, it was not okay to pass that adult trait still. But now it's okay. And this is where again the village stop raising a child, because we do business. Your child doing something, and I try to talk to you about your child first, and you come in front of my house and cuss me up and leave my child alone. And then when I see your child committing any crime, I'm not saying anything. I'm not telling them a word. And that is where we reach to now. And this is what Ms. Agard, I'm thinking, alluding to, that we should try and change. Yeah?
Yes, we have to play our part.
We have to. But again, the village must stop having a problem with the village raising the child. But now the village have a problem with it, because they again.
And somebody commented, "What if the village is sick and unable to raise the child?"
Well, Shopman, let's go to that video quick before we take some calls. Let's go to that video. So look at what some of the miscreants of the East-West Corridor was doing on Friday. And I mean, what a time it was. Shortman, you could put that on rotation. Came off the street and joined CCC. They didn't join the military, it was the CCC inter-region drill competition. That's what it was.
I hope these young people are proud of themselves and what they have accomplished, because it's no easy feat to do this, and you have to basically have one brain to be in that sync.
Yes, one word of command, and they silently carried out the drills that they practiced. And how many movements, Miller, if you could quickly shoot me that, how many movements they have to do carrying out this display here? It wasn't for more than 2 minutes to 3 minutes, but also one of the many competitions geared towards champion region of the cycle. Okay, so they have, what CCC do, they have several competitions during the time, and then which would lead up to crowning a champion region. So I guess they would still have the marathon and calypso competition and all these other things. Yeah, they keep them busy. And
again, nobody is aware of this because
the media is not covering it.
Yeah.
So, you all could victimize me for talking again because I always get a media blackout every time I speak about the media, but that's fine. God recording the work we're doing. Let's take some calls, Gary. 622-3937. John, any closing remarks as we take some calls for you?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What would you like to say in closing?
I didn't hear you. Could you repeat the question, please, sir?
Yes. 622-3937. We're going to take some calls for you. But what would you like to say in closing?
Well, everything, more or less everything, the village had to start back raising the children. It is take a village to raise a child. The person who's saying just now if the village sick. I don't think a whole village could be sick. One parent could be sick. And then the child wouldn't think if it's a whole village when one sick, somebody else could take care. So the person who say the village sick, I didn't understand the comment. But other than that, everything all else say, I on board with it.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, yes. Sorry. A question I want to ask. Now, the police talk, I don't think the police say that they're targeting people of East India, that because they East Indian, because they kill Chinese too. But the point what I'm making there is that how come more than half of the population is East Indian and almost the next half is African. But how come most of the people who doing crime is mostly African? That's the point.
All right. Thank you, Larry. Thanks a lot for your contribution. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
What you said is right. I notice a lot of people don't get...
The volume on your radio, caller.
Just hold on.
Yeah? Okay.
Hold on.
So it's approximately 50 drill movements from one word of command these trainees were able to memorize and execute on that day. And what you see here now is a snippet of the North Central region.
What you say is right. I noticed down to my community. Some people passing you straight. The children are adopting the same way. I don't know what kind of people, like the whole thing changed. Long time you could not do anything. But like the whole thing changed, especially some of the younger people. Like, I don't know how did that straight the children people die. We didn't know it that kind of way. Passing straight, they write your neighbor without saying morning or good. And what you say is right. That is why the place how it is today.
Caller, it's true. And it breaks my heart, really, I'm looking for friends in Natasha. It's just that I find the basic thing, good morning, how are you? Because I'm supposed to be in a WhatsApp group with you too.
There must be a connection. I mean, I guess back in those days when, as they say, the good old days, there was a commonality, there was a connection, there was you could relate to the people living next door to you. Maybe now it's different. You cannot relate to somebody who maybe work in Europe or I don't know. It may be just a change in the dynamics of the people. It could be that, yes.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. So I'll get it straight, right? What I'm not hearing many people who talking about this topic zeroing on, and this is just my thinking because I may not have any statistics to verify. I think there's a direct connection between single mothers and criminal behavior.
No, please.
Not to blame, let me finish, please.
All right.
It's not to blame single mothers, right? It's really to identify an absence of the male figure in the home. So whether we want to, because zeroing as to why there's a problem, I'm sure if you really decide to do the research, and you go into the prisons and you look at all the men who are in prison and you look at the family situation, I'm very sure that you will find that there's an absence of a male figure, a male father figure in that situation. So then if there's an absence of a male father figure, then naturally it would have been a single mother or a grandparent or some other person raising that child